láyé olúgbọ́n mo ké borùn méje ẹ ò máa kọ yí lórin láyé àrẹ̀sà mo ké borùn mẹ́fà ẹ ò máa kọ yí lórin láyé ìsẹ̀yìn èmi ra kókò mo ra rán mo ra sányán bàbá sọ àfọ̀lẹ́ ló lè pélé.
Hello everyone, my name is Adeyemo Adegbemiga Gani and I welcome you to my new Yoruba Abrahamic YouTube video. Today I want to talk about the definitional relevancies of art and sculpturing within the traditional belief. It's 100% validation from the Abrahamic context, both from the Quran and the Bible, and every hidden details they fail to tell most people, particularly the religionists today, regarding to the greatness or the necessity of the use of art and sculpturing within the traditional belief in general. But first and foremost, before we dive into this topic, we need to first detail or to explain why the need of symbolism and art in African way of life, particularly within the Yoruba traditionalists, which I am more familiar with long time ago, prior before the colonial religions was established, and also when they started the campaign of demonizations of the African cultural way and cultural life. First and foremost, among the Yoruba traditionalists and the Yoruba believers, anything relating to art and culture is being pronounced as ere. And ere to the Yoruba people, which is culture, carving, everything general or relating attributes to carving in general. They serve two major purposes in the life of the traditionalists, and these were genuine purposes for those who have wisdom. Number one of it has to do with the spiritual purposes, which is for a fact, while the other one has to do with the cultural purposes, or should I say beautificational purposes and heritage purposes. For the purposes of spiritualism, this is why they need it, because carving on an object of carving is always sounds as a structure that is always needed to be put in place in order to project a certain energy of messages from this earth realm down to the heaven realm in above. This is what I mean through the legacies of the Orisha. Let me conclude it. Let me say it again. It also is a projection of an energy. The item always stands as a projection of an energy, like a mass, a signal mass. When you want to make a call, there has to be a signal mass being placed in its being stationed at the place. Just like that, carving structure or is always a projected structure or an item to project an energy within the earth realm straight down to the Almighty in heaven through the pathway or legacy of an Orisha, better known as Irumole or prophet or Messiah, whichever way from the Abrahamic lenses. Let me give you a better understanding so you will know what I'm saying in breakdown, and you will understand it fully well. It's like me, big guy, I want to make a call from Nigeria to the United States. Four things have to be referenced, four things have to be valid while making the call. Number one, I who wants to make the call, I am the initiator of the call. That is for sure. Number two has to do with the item or the carving or the stationing thing I want to use, which can now be identified as my mobile phone or GSM. The item that I can use to channel the communication. Why the waves, the current, or should I say the signal to take my message represents the energy of the Orisha that will carry the message to the United States from Nigeria. And at the end, the recipient, the person I'm intended to call, which want to receive my call in the United States, that will be the first factor. Let us now apply that very example, those four factors, to why the Yoruba traditionalists and African traditionalists really needed to use a carving object or a station object to channel their message to the real Almighty in heaven. The GSM, or me, Benga, who want to initiate the call, I represent someone who want to initiate a message to the Almighty and how to bow down or how to create or kneel down before something. And the object which I'm about to carve or maybe station like a stone or something always serve to represent a kind of my GSM phone. I need an item, a set of a pole that will channel my signal to different direction. And the prayer I want to, or the Horisha, the legacy of the Horisha serve as the energy carrier, either Ishu, either Yemeja, either Ogun, either whichever shrine I want to use. They serve as the signal, the wave to carry my message. They are the one, particularly Ishu. Ishu is the one carrying the message. Why the Almighty serve as the recipient who wants to receive the message. The initiator, the object, GSM, and me, the energy to carry it, the Horisha, and the Almighty receiving the message. It's as simple as that. So there is no way you can make a call without needing that GSM, and that GSM represents the item to channel the traditional messages from where they are to the Almighty in heaven, like a signal. So it's a common saying that this is needed and this is never. So the reality of it, that is what the purposes of the use of carving an object actually means, the importance of it in the traditional belief. The other aspect of it had to do with the beatification. I've said it all. The beatification, the started homage in attribution, the home designation with art, the cultural symbolism, art and culture, art and style, heritage preservation, and so on and so forth. Those are the two reasons why art is very important to the traditionalists and for people who genuinely want to communicate with the Almighty, not what we are doing today. In a nutshell, directly or indirectly, none of the African people, or particularly my Yoruba people, uses a sculpture a sculpture or a carving object as a replacement of the Almighty. They don't worship sculpture. They don't use a sculpture and art to replace a Eledumare. They don't use any item. They only use it to channel their directional signal. I hope you guys are getting my point. And likewise, why the ancient ancestors of the Yoruba people, they knew something like this might tend to come up in the nearest future. This is why they make it is they gave a specific way to differentiate the use of, like I reference to this in my previous videos. The Yoruba, Bibo means to honor. I keep saying it. Bibo means to honor. Bibo or Fobire, honor your parent. Bibo Orisha, honor the prophet, honor the deities, honor those which the European call gods. Our deity are not God. They are messengers of the true Almighty, which is Eledumare. Ìránṣẹ́ Eledumare ni wọ́n. They are the true messenger. They are not God. The Europeans are the one twisting their name, twisting their title, trying to force our deities to look like a rival to the true Almighty. These are another cases. These are another target to dumb down Africans, to turn our backs against those who were actually meant to save us. So it was never hard to do with anything. Each time the Yoruba traditionalists across the world intend to go and pay, to go to a shrine, they always use this Bibo, Ejekalo Bo Shango, which means let us go and honor Shango. They never say let us go and worship. The white men tried to change the entire narrative of the Africans, and so many gullible Africans, they fall into that trap of ignorance. So each time we now use the term sinsing, that is when we can reference it to the Almighty, commonly used among the Yoruba. Ejekalo sin Olorun. Sinsing means to worship. That is what the African uses. The Yoruba people understood that. So you will never hear, let us go and worship a deity. They don't worship deity. It's always let us go and honor a deity. Likewise, the Yoruba people has every reason to honor a deity, because the deity, they are angelic beings to rest of mankind. But to the Yoruba people, the deities, which are these angels, are their ancestors, their blood biological parents who gave birth to them. So the Yoruba people has every reason to be honoring their parents, their angelic parent. Even among the traditionalists, when people like Yemeja followers want to go and honor Yemeja in our shrine, they don't even call Yemeja the deity. They call it my mother, because Yemeja is actually their biological mother, my mother. They don't call him a deity, even though Yemeja serves as an angelic being. So this is exactly why the Yoruba people, they separated Bibo from Sinsin, which they separated to worship and to honor. It is the white men that turned everything upside down in an attempt to generally demonize everything the African pre-owned before they introduced religion to them. So having said all this, we need to now understand why we have to believe what I'm saying, because it's the common sense for you to now actually analyze what went down with our ancestor and what is still happening today. Some adamant people might still argue, no, it's a lie. It's a lie. We today who are religionists, who are preaching religionists, die for Christ, die for Muhammad, stuff like, we are the one who are the better life. We are the one who are doing the right thing, channeling the cousin. Our ancestors were into paganism. They are worshipping stick, they are worshipping stone. I know some will argue, but let's be sincere. Analyze what we are going through today. We continuously to attack our ancestors, that our ancestors were the bad guys, that they had the one who does contrary thing to righteousness, and the Almighty destroyed them. This is what we've always continuously tell ourselves out of ignorance, that we are the one. Now, these are our ancestors that we have completely demonized. Among them and people of today, which ones have a better life? Are we the one who has a better life than our ancestor, or were our ancestors having better life than we of today? Because last time I checked, our ancestors, they live longer. They were closer to the Almighty. They control everything within the ground. They understood Almighty beyond religion. And even the Europeans that gave us the religion, they have already testified to it, that what they met in Africa before they brought Christianity and Islam, what they met in Africa were perfect. They said it. King Leopold, in his letter to Congo too, he said it. Macaulay, the one that invaded from England, a general, said it. Everyone is saying it, that are these our ancestors that we continuously to reference to as pagan worshipper. These Europeans that brought us religions are testifying that they are not pagan worshipper. They were actually perfect. They knew who the Almighty truly were before religion. And as a matter of fact, the religion that we are shouldering today, as if everything is fine, that it was actually a decoy. It was actually a trap to corrupt our life. They are saying it. These are the people who give you Islamic and Christianity. They are saying it to your face. It's all over the book. So, which basically means our ancestors had a better life. They have a prosperous life and they have a satisfied life, which is why most of them will clock 200 years. Will still be very agile, very strong, very smart. But today, we die at the age of 60. Life overtake us at the age of 60, 70. We get old. We die of different diseases, cancer, everything. And we are actually comparing our life with our ancestors. Come on. This is even a common sense, which basically is the Almighty favors people of the past than who we are, than we of today, who are actually believing what we are doing. So we are the one at fault. As a matter of fact, our ignorance became so deep and very vast to an extent that we don't even seem to have intelligence to analyze what the Abrahamic books is even teaching regarding to this sculpture. Because commonly you will see verses like Exodus 20 verse 4 to 5. This is what the Christian people teaches them, continue to teach themselves just to make themselves feel good. They will say, it is forbidden for anyone, that the Almighty has forbidden every one of this earth, that they shall not make any statue or carve anything related to picture or anything on earth, under the water. This is what they teach themselves in churches, and likewise in the Quran, in Maida 5 verse 90, where the Almighty was actually further saying that all believers, gambling, idol, arrows of divination and stuff like they are tradition, the cultural ways of the Satans. Mind you, the Satans have made it clear, the Satans are real human beings, not this flying witchy, all this Hollywood flying spirit. No, the Satans are real human beings. They are the one who invaded Africa, and they actually uses their satanic skill to make sure they turn Africans against what was working for them to what will never work for them in disguise. How they lure Africans into sin is actually why they were dubbed as Satan, because they were clever when it comes to twisting narrative from reality to delusion. That is why they are called Satan. It was never because they were flying of night or they were becoming moving from as a spirit. Or these are Hollywood nonsense. The reality is because their character is very treacherous. They are very deceitful, and they obviously succeeded deceiving Africans to abandon their tradition for the nonsense they brought as a religion that have even destroyed us till today. So that is what made them Satan. So when the Quran was saying that these are the culture of the Satan, gambling, who are the one who founded gambling, idol worshipping, they are the one who actually worship items. They worship items, not we African. African uses it as something else. So these are the common verses religionists will preach for you, either from the Quran or from the Bible, to actually demonize it, to further demonize it African culture. But there is a part of these biblical and the Quranic verses which they oftenly ignored, and why people or the listeners as well don't pay attention to the details. There is no verse in the entire Abrahamic book, either from Judaism, either from the Quran, either from the Bible, where the Almighty demonizes anything relating to art and sculpture, without ending such verse without including such verb with the act of worshiping. Let me give you an instance. The Almighty is not saying a car is bad. He's actually saying a car is bad if you are driving it and you are drunk. It's different from that. Don't drive a car. It's like people just pick don't drive a car, which does not make sense. It's supposed to be don't drive a car while you are drunk. So if the Almighty is saying carving, art and sculpture are bad, he's not just saying it. He said it to the full. He said carving, sculpture are bad if he uses it as a means, or if he uses it as an act of worshiping. The question is, were African worshiping carved structure like the Yorubas? We don't worship it. This is why we use the logic of Bibo. We honor a deity through it. We don't even honor objects. We honor a deity through it. So the Almighty only frown against the use of it, the use of art and sculpture for worshiping to replace him, which the white people are doing. So the Africans need to go in details. There is no verse in the entire Bible or the Quran or anything Abrahamic where the Almighty just say, don't stop using art and culture, because art is naturally part of our way of life. Culture is naturally part of our way of life. The Almighty only frowns against him when you drop Ile-Ife and start using a stick. As a matter of fact, religionists are the ones who are even transgressing their Abrahamic warnings. How? Why anything relating to crucifixion, some people reference it to a symbol of God. You will never hear a traditionalist, particularly from a Yoruba hand, that will carve a stone, Ojubo issue. They will now call that Ojubo, this is God's house. They will never use their hand to build a house and reference it to God. They will never create they never create an item or call a place an house of God, a stick of God, a thing of God, put it in your ball like a cross, put it anywhere. God is with you. They don't associate Eledumare with anything. They only reference to Orisha, which are the angelic being, in a level of honor, in the height of honor, not worshiping. So when we are talking about someone using an item as a replacement of God, Jesus is God. Do you know what that means? You are even using Jesus to replace God, and you're also using a crucifixion item to replace God. So the traditionalists in general, apart from Yoruba people, they've never crossed the line because they understood it, which was why African people, they had a better life before religion came, and they knew nothing about religion. It was all spiritualism. Why each spiritualism lies within their traditional belief, and this is what they don't tell you. So when we are talking about cultural affiliation with anything, belief, if it is not having anything with the Almighty, you are 100% right. Even David too, in Surah Al-Saha, King David, which was a righteous person, he demanded that he needed a sculpture. He needed a sculpture. In Yoruba, in my home, King David was who I interpreted as Oduduwa. We have Oduduwa sculpture, Ori Olokun. We have it. All these things, they have no side. The Almighty have no business with them. As a matter of fact, in most cases, every single written book that demonizes it are coming outside Abrahamic context. Like in the case of the Quran, every item, every relating text that demonizes culture, sculpture, or art, symbolism, things in general, are coming from the Persian writings, not even the Quran. Like they said, the most person that the Almighty hates most will be someone who is carving, who will enter hellfire. But David, which is King David, the beloved messenger, really demanded. They even gifted him a sculpture and art. With David to enter hellfire, it's like we just open our mouth to say some things off reality, off sense. This is what I'm saying. I would rather prefer you to read the Abrahamic book just to have a glimpse. After having a glimpse, then go into tradition to read the actual truth. Then you will understand how the Almighty operates before we met ourselves in this established white man institution called religion. So sculpture has always been a dividing, and if you actually still insist after this explanation that everything relating to sculpture, art, designation are evil, then I think you should stop using your mobile phone. You stop using your camera phone. Stop using your laptop. Because if you are still using your laptop, your mobile phone to snap something, you are carving out an image. Social media, how do you think it's called? The scanning is all about sculpturing, art, design. If you are still using it and think sculpture is bad, then you are an hypocrite. You're a typical hypocrite. Even the Almighty hates it. So the Almighty have no business with sculpturing, art, design, stuff like that. The Persians are the one who generalizes it, not the Almighty. So whoever chooses to follow the path of the Persian, good luck for him. But when it comes to the Almighty and the traditional way of life, they are 100% on the righteous path. I hope I've said it. I will see you in my next video. Make your comment down below respectively. I'm not here to attack anybody. We are just here to learn. If you think otherwise or you have a contrary opinion, make your comment down below. I will try to answer you if I can relate with it, fine. And let me press the notification bell. I will see you in my next video, anyone. Thank you and bye for now.